Hey y'all, so I wanted to come back this morning with a quick tea stain paper wrapped up so you guys could actually look through the papers that I tea stained the other day. And I want to compare them to some other papers that I had done in previous sessions so that we can talk a little bit about color and how to adjust the formulas from my previous video to make things darker, because I worked with the lightest formula that I generally use, and I do use all ranges, and you'll see in my stack here that I have different ranges because depending on what I'm working on, or sometimes within the same journal, I want different color pages. Just depending on what I'm gonna be putting on them, how I'm gonna use them, if I want them to be lighter so it's easier to write, and maybe the color variations that I'm working with or the different tuck spots and stuff I'm putting on them look a little better with a lighter tea stain. Sometimes a whole book can be light tea stain. Sometimes the whole book can be dark. It just really depends. So I wanted to show you that. And I also wanted to do a follow-up on the Kuba cloth book. So many of you guys bought the bundles and are enjoying them. Thank you so much. Many of you were excited about downloading the book and started using it immediately, waiting for your bundles to come. And then I did have a few of you reach out to me because so many of you follow me in Europe, England, Australia, New Zealand, places like that. I even have a few followers like in Israel and what have you. Shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. And sometimes the tariffs and the taxes and everything are so much for you guys to get something shipped to you. And so, one of you guys in England said, hey, can you just make the book a downloadable? And I never thought about that. I'm like, yeah, I sure could. So it's up on my website just as a downloadable, only $8.99. And there's 15 full scale images from my collection that you can use any way you want. It's awesome, awesome, awesome way to create your own papers and work with these really beautiful, unique fabrics that, you just can't find these fabrics anywhere else. I know that because I've been collecting them for years, and they're not always well known, but you see them a lot in high-end decoration. They're used in pillows, seat covers, backs of chairs. When you really look at these, you'll see them in a lot of high-end decorating. But so anyhow, that link will be there for this little yummy collection of things. And you guys have already started buying those. Thank you so much. And I'm glad that, most importantly, I'm really glad that I was able to give you something that you really are enjoying. It's unique, it's different, and it is super, super, super affordable. So just wanted to do an update on that. And I'll come back to these because these are some this is an additional technique that I do. I'll come back to that. I did a video on that. It's like a part 2 for my Patreon supporters. What my goal is over here on YouTube is to show you guys a lot of stuff that I'm doing. And then but the more, more developed and more in, how do you say it? More in detailed videos I put over on Patreon. Number one, because I really can't run a video much longer than a half an hour over on YouTube, or it doesn't get pushed out. YouTube just shuts those algorithms down. Their algorithms shut you down. Nothing I can do about it. And I'm sharing this with you guys because there's no way you would have any idea what goes on behind the scenes with YouTube. It just looks like we put these videos up. Everything's happy. It's free. It's wonderful. And no, it's not. It's a nightmare when you don't really understand how YouTube works. So that's why I'm keeping them short over here. If you want to get more in detail with what I'm doing, or get part 2s and part 3s and 4s of the videos that I do, then it's only $10 a month. And there's like at least 8, sometimes 10 videos over there monthly, along with a collection of downloadable art of my jelly prints that I download monthly, that you guys can use in your work and just kind of collect and see even closer up what my work looks like. So I'm just saying that not as there's no reason why you got to go over there and become a part of Patreon. It's not about that. I'm just letting you know how I've sort of kind of worked both ends of being able to put long videos up and share more of my time, but at the same time, just really stay in contact with you guys over here for no cost, and just kick it and have fun and just show you things that I'm doing. And so just, be patient with me, and just love me where I am, and know that I'm just trying to bring a balance to my business and to my art time and the way I enjoy sharing and the way social media works. Okay. So I'll talk more about these. And then let's get into what we did last week. So this light is such that you should be able to see the colors pretty fair. These are the papers that we did last week. So these are some of them. So this is what the intensity looked like. Okay. You see, remember I showed you that some of the spaces were white and then some were a little darker. And we did that on purpose because I wanted to show you this sort of model effect. And I like this effect a lot because to me, it looks like, this camera's not trying to focus properly. It does that when I move things around. So I'll try not to move stuff as much. Try to give it something to focus on. Okay. So, because to me, it looks like things really just like something knocked over, spilled over on them. It looks like maybe they were sitting in a loft, an attic somewhere, and over time of just getting wet and dry, and certain things bleeding in certain places, it developed this look. So I really like this look. If you want it full page, then the way you use the technique that I showed you using the washcloth is that as opposed to sort of squeezing it on there and getting on there, just get a good wet cloth and just rub it smooth like this. Because when you squeeze it like that and let it sit for a little bit as you're starting to manipulate it, is where you get the darker spots versus the lighter spots. Also, make sure you just dry it pretty clear so you don't have a lot of puddling, and then you'll get more of a solid sheet without this effect in it. So you can play with it, but that's how I would suggest that you do it. So so remember in our video, we used a cup of hot water, and so this is the difference too. This is the tea. So in the tea, I put 3 tea bags of black tea in there. And for the coffee, I put 2 teaspoons. And we got this coloration. This is coffee. This is the tea. Basically the same, but you can see the color differences. This looks like coffee, doesn't it? That looks like tea. So you can sort of see what they do. Also, so we'll start there. That was a formula that I gave you. And I gave you guys that one because I hear a lot of people say that they like this process, but they don't really want the papers as dark, or they don't mind them dark, but they want to know how to make them lighter. They don't like when the whole batch just comes out all like really dark, So my attempt in doing the videos last week was to sort of show you the moderate, like how you get started. And this is a good light color palette because you can always make something darker. You can't make it lighter, right? So, okay, so that's the first thing. This would be sort of the next level of color I wanted to show you guys. So this is kind of like a range here. Let's see, here we are. I'll show you these down there. So I kind of put a range together so you can kind of see. Okay, so now these are, and you can see that this right here is at the top edge. So these are coffee. These are all coffee. So you can see this is kind of at the top edge. You can see the color of this. And this is just a little bit lighter, but that's the tea. And these are coffee. So these are more full sheets. And the way I've done those is the way I describe. I just really just put it down. I put it, the color on there full and just really made sure that I kind of rubbed it on there. So you can see that it's, now this brew is very close to the one that we've gotten there, except for I started putting more in it. So I'll start light and do, let's say, 1 cup to 2 teaspoons of coffee. Then when I got enough of that batch, I'll just take the same batch and I'll just make it darker. So I'll add, to start getting into these levels, I'm going to start putting, and these are roughly the same. You can see this one has like a square on it because I was dyeing another sheet that was smaller. It was that size. Let me get it here. See? So it was just laying on top because I showed you guys how I stack things on top. And after a while, things do get a little bit more absorbed and the color can intensify. So with this batch, I used like 4 to 5 teaspoons of coffee. So I added at least 3 to 4 more teaspoons of coffee. So the brew was really dark. And then that's how you get this really dark staining. So you can play around from going from 2 teaspoons to 5 to 6, and then just do so many papers at a time. And what I normally do is when I first figured out my technique and how I wanted it to, how I want the colors to be reflected, that's what I did. I just did so many at one batch, and I made a note that how much I put in it. Then I added some more coffee to it, and some more teaspoons, and then did them, and then I marked those papers and let them dry. You know what I mean? I let them dry, and then my system of coming back once they were dry, take them off, and then I would do another batch and make it a little darker. And then that's kind of when I got to, okay, this is the range I like to make. So I know now that if I want it dark, I'm gonna use about 6 teaspoons to a cup. Now, of course, you can make it 2 cups and add a couple of more, 3 or 4 more teaspoons. I just kind of start with a 1 to 2 cup ratio. And then, you can kind of play with it to get it what you want. But I just wanted to use this video as an opportunity to give you guys an overall understanding of recipe. Okay. And that's what I'll make sure I'll entitle this recipes, so that you'll really have an idea of how I go from the light to the dark. Okay. And I find that really works. If you're working also with some papers and you want them to darken up a little quicker, remember we talked about using or not using the oven. If you wanted to use the oven just a little bit to partially dry them, so let's say when you take them out, they still are wet. They still have a lot of moisture in them. They're just not sopping and they're not really deep, really dripping. Just having the paper in the oven a little bit will start that darkening process, and you can pull them out and then let them dry normal, and they won't, get crunchy or anything. That's just an option to making things dark quick as well. Just so you know the things that I have found in my experimenting. Okay, so then the last type of papers that I produce that I like, this is the third level, are these where it like really runs in, like the paper is still really light. This is almost this natural color, and it really, sort of runs in. And so you get all of this kind of thing going on, various levels of this. Now, the way that I came up with doing this is I simply would take a pan, like you can use a metal pan, one of those ones you get at the dollar store, like cake pan or something, where this whole pile of 8.5 and 11 will go down into it. So I'll just take a group of papers, maybe about 20 or 30 of them, and I'll put them in that pan so that they fully are in there flat. And then what I do is then I'll take and pour the coffee solution on top of it. So I'll just pour it on all top of it, and then I'll just push it down. I saw a woman on YouTube, and if I can find her channel, I will definitely link it down there because she's the one who does them all in the pan. She does her whole batch like that. And so, which is her technique. And that's kind of where I said, well, I'll try that, And when I did it like that, well, it was way too many papers. I couldn't put, like, she puts 200 or something in there. That didn't work for me. Because the whole pack was more like this. And I didn't want like all my papers to have these white spots like that. I just wasn't interested in that. But I did like the idea of it. So at the end of my working, I'll put a group of papers in the pan, pour the rest of my solution on there. Just make sure you still have a good couple of cups, pour it on about 20 or 30 sheets and let it sit, and then press it down. You can press it with your hands or press it with a kitchen utensil, wood, or you can really use metal. It doesn't affect the coffee. And then, press them down. You can manipulate them a little bit and just let them sit there and soak a bit. And maybe I let them soak maybe about 10, 15 minutes, you know, just to really let it try to get in as much as possible. I'll manipulate the pages just a little bit to let some of the liquid flow in because they will stick together. And then once you do that, you just pour all the liquid off. Just pour as much of the liquid as you can off. Just kind of push it down and keep on pouring it. And then I just pull the whole batch out. It's going to be a whole batch. And just lay it on top of your paper. Just lay it there for a while. Maybe about, you know, 10, 15, 20 minutes so it can really start drying. Then I might, you know, take a few, you know, start taking a few sections at a time, like all together, where they'll allow me to separate. And then I'll just make sections of them and let them sit. Because what you don't want to do is get the paper to start ripping. So if you just kind of pull together a batch and a batch as it's starting to dry, it'll allow you to start working with it. And just let it, you know, forget about it for another, you know, 15, 20 minutes or so. And then go back. And as you can separate each sheet, then start separating them and lay them out and let them dry. And doing that is how you get them to look like this. Okay, so that's how these are done. So I do that at the end. Once I've gotten all of the batch that I want to have done, then the balance of it I'll use like that. And then these, just to give you to show you, this is a technique that I use. And then these were our original lighter stain papers that we did together last week, like I said. And then when I went to do a part 2 for my Patreon supporters, these are these papers, and then the secondary process that I do is here. And so these papers just pick up all kind of really crazy, beautiful color. I really love these. And I'm still just working with the tea and the coffee. I'm not working with any paints or dyes or anything. So these really start looking yummy. And I use them along with my my jelly prints. So then I take and jelly print. I mean, I tea stain, you know, my jelly prints and my ink blots. This is an old French book cover. Some of my writing with an old manuscript. So this is another one of my jelly prints. So I tea stain all of these, and then these are some papers that were already eco dyed with turmeric. So that's why they're just slightly yellow. Like I really did a really pale batch, and then those had been dried a while back, and then I took and did this technique with it. And so this is a really unique process that that I kind of, you know, I stumbled upon how to do these. And so just want to show you, these papers are so beautiful. But anyhow, that is another process. It's fairly easy to do, so it's not like a hard technique. But that was on that video. But that's what these papers look like. So I just wanted to show you, for those of you who want to do more tea staining or are curious as to what is it exactly is Robin doing on Patreon, like, you know, what's going on over there. I just, you know, wanted to show you guys some of the stuff we're doing. And this is an envelope that I took, just a brown craft envelope that I had gotten at Michael's. And I just threw it in when at the end of our tea staining video last week. I had it there and I forgot about it, and I just laid it down, and it just picked up some of the coffee, you can see, and it just gets this nice little wrinkly, yummy effect. It looks good, you know, in our junk journals and stuff like that. So just remember to pull your envelopes out when you're tea and coffee staining. I have some really yummy envelopes. I don't think I can get my hands on them right now, but oh my goodness, they really can do some really neat things. I was trying to see if I had one right behind me, of one that I'm working. Oh, this one. Look at this. How yummy this one is. I want to show you guys this. I have these egg from an old ephemera sheet that I have, and I photocopied it. But this is one that I like, I don't know how it did this. Honest to goodness, I can't even begin to tell you how that happened. The only thing I can think of is the day that I was doing this, I was doing a lot of papers, and they were all laying on top of each other. And this paper just, it's an old envelope, and it just stained like that. I really don't know how that happened. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, it reminded me so much of my eggs. So I'm gonna do, this is gonna be a part of the series that I'll be using these with this in it. But isn't that yummy looking? Look at that. So don't forget to pull out your envelopes and do them in your batches while you're working. This is what these envelopes are. I got them. They're Mrs. Sparkle and Company. So look for those. Sorry about the light. Mrs. Sparkle and Company. There were 10 craft envelopes in here, and I think they were only like $1.50. Oh yeah, $1.99. And I got them at Michael's. So just look in, wherever Mrs. Sparkle and Company. You might even find them on Amazon. But I really, really like these. They're really a nice weight. And when you dye them, I mean, when you tea stain or coffee stain them, they really, this crinkling I really like a lot. So that's just another little tip for you guys. And let me see. Oh, I wanted to show you the paper that we're working, that I have down here on top. So this is the paper. This is what the paper looks like that I was dyeing on top of. So you can see it's a nice color. I have lengths and lengths of it. It has some of my other coloring on it from that secondary process that I did. But it, this is what I showed you the other day. So just a close-up so you could really see it. So remember, you get lengths and lengths of this as well. So not only do you have all those sheets, but you have all these that you could definitely tear down and use in your junk journals. You can use in the back fabric. They make, great pockets. I mean, you could do a lot with this. I mean, this is just like having a whole nother, 20 sheets. If you do it like the length of that, something a whole 20 sheets, this is like having a whole nother 20 sheets. You could literally just cut them down into whatever size pages you want. Like I have some pages here. I bought them this size. It's like from an old thingy or whatever. I don't know, like a book that you're supposed to put your passwords in. But you could see where you literally could take and just cut these sheets down and make even smaller sheets, to go along with your larger 8.5 by 11s. So you can make smaller journals with these. Of course, folded in half. That makes a nice size little journal, right? So get creative with these papers. And then also when you're in the thrift stores, that's what I do. And there's like these there's these packs of papers. I mean, who's going to use like one of these things with passwords on them any longer? I mean, not really. We keep a lot of that stuff in our phone, or we have it digitized now. So, but it's still like a great base to start junk journaling on. And then a lot of the pages were, oh, here's another envelope. See how yummy these are? Oh, just love these envelopes. I open them up and then I use them in different ways as inserts. Sometimes I use them as backings for collages as well. Just open them up and use them as that. They look so good. And they're nice. And these are crane envelopes. So they're 100% cotton and they're really nice, sturdy envelopes. So look for your envelopes at the Goodwill, at, Salvation Army, places like that. I find like boxes of them, 200 envelopes for like $2.99, because nobody knows what to do with these things. So they really don't put big prices on them. And then like these packs I find like in the old, section where the office supplies and stuff are, in the Goodwill section there. And I mean, I think I got, this for $1.99, and it had the, I'll show you guys. I have it all right here. This is my container where I keep all of my papers and stuff in. You can see that's what I'm reaching into. But it came with these alphabet tabs too. So I went on to stain those too, because I'm gonna use these in a junk journal of some sort. And I won't use all of them. I'll probably just do a journal and, take a few of the tabs and use them as inserts between some of the pages, this kind of thing. Just as another little element. And then I won't be using all these papers even. I'll use some of these papers. I'll use some of my own papers in them, because I'll mix them in, and I'll have different lengths inside the book. Look how good that looks together already. I just grabbed a few things. So don't walk by that stuff. And they're normally only over the 99 cents, $1.99, $2, whatever, you know. Grab that because that stuff is great for tea and coffee staining, and it's fabulous inside of your junk journals. So there you have it. I guess that's everything. So remember, look for this type of ephemera around the place. Use envelopes, anything basically get your hands on. I had gotten a pack of this origami paper, and I liked it because it was black and white. And I did a real light staining on it. Some of them I'm gonna stain a little darker. It's kind of hard to see because with the light, it's still coming up like it's, you can see though, it's not. So I just took the whole pack. I think I got this whole pack for a couple of bucks. And I liked a lot of the chevron, these patterns on. I wasn't as crazy about the stars, but whatever. I like these pluses. So I just, you know, threw these in a batch. The backs came out beautifully as well. You can see. So in some of these, I'll use the backs and just let the pattern come through so that it kind of it'll have this kind of effect to it. And maybe I'll use it and back another sheet on the back side of this because I like that. So anything you can get your hands on, truthfully, that appeals to you, go ahead and grab it and, you know, tea dye it or coffee stain it. And yeah, so go out and hit the thrift stores and get started there. You can, you know, like I said, regulate your recipes to get the type you want, and you can do the couple of different techniques I've shared with you, and just have fun. And I look forward to seeing some of the stuff that you guys do. All right, take care. Thanks again for spending your time with me over here on YouTube. I appreciate you guys. And the link to the ebook, if you're interested in this, I'll put below the video, and anything else that I can think of that I shared with you that you might want to have as a note. All right, take care, guys, and see you soon. Bye-bye.